When the case of Jeffrey Epstein resurfaced, investigators around the world were stunned, not just by the allegations, but by how many questions remained unanswered even after years of scrutiny. What shocked investigators most wasn't only the crimes themselves, but the scale and sophistication of the system surrounding him. This was a case built on secrecy, influence, and connections that stretched far beyond one individual. International investigators noted that the timeline didn't behave like a typical criminal pattern. The movements, meetings, and financial trails raised more questions than answers. Why were certain trips undocumented? Why did some records appear incomplete? Why did names, dates, and logs look redacted or missing in places where details should have existed? The lack of clarity made the case feel larger than what was seen on the surface. Another unanswered question was how the network managed to operate for so long without being fully exposed. Investigators believed there were structural blind spots, moments when reports were ignored, warnings were overlooked, or information was lost in the system. These gaps were not simple errors. They suggested that the environment around the case was unusually insulated, and that insulation is what raised red flags globally. There was also surprise at how many institutions had touched this story at some point: legal teams, agencies, private staff, international offices, and yet the truth still remained fragmented. Every new document release raised more confusion. Why were certain details heavily redacted? Why did some logs show names removed? Why were previous investigations incomplete? These inconsistencies became one of the biggest mysteries. The case also forced investigators to ask a deeper question: how does a system like this survive? It made them reevaluate how power, silence, and influence can shape outcomes. This wasn't just about one man. It exposed how networks function in shadows, how accountability breaks down, and how long it can take for the truth to finally come forward. Even today, many parts of the story remain under review, and many records continue to raise doubts. The unanswered questions are what keep this case alive, and why the Epstein files continue to fascinate and disturb investigators worldwide.